Question 1. In what ways does your media products use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? My media product uses, develops, and challenges the conventions of a real magazine in various ways. Since my chosen genre was hip-hop, I decided to use a red, white, and black colour scheme, which is quite common due to the simplicity and effectiveness of the colours. This allowed my magazine to look sophisticated and professional due to the fact that my colours do not clash and they stand out, but at the same time make it look like it was a hip-hop magazine. One convention I followed in the cover was the structure and layout of cover lines, because I did not want to make my magazine complicated or a tabloid magazine like Hip Hop Weekly. The size of the main cover line was larger than the others and is anchored to the image to connote what the image is about. The cover lines were also in a sans serif font on all magazines I analysed, due to the fact that they are easier to read. This is used in all hip-hop magazine covers that I analysed to emphasise the cover line's importance compared to the others. I did this to keep my magazine simple, professional, and clean. I also used this because my magazine was not a tabloid-style magazine like Hip Hop Weekly, which had very small cover lines on the right-hand side and one big cover line across the picture. Another convention I followed was the type of camera shot used. The image is a medium shot of an Afro-Caribbean male wearing red and white. I used this shot because it is the most used on the cover of all magazines, not just hip-hop. It allows the audience to see the mise-en-scène of costume that the artist is wearing to connote the genre of the magazine. The red and white also emphasize my colour scheme. The artist is looking at the audience, which allows direct address and forms a personal relationship, which gives the audience a reason to buy the next issue. The reason I did this is because the more traditional magazines, such as Source magazine, uses this kind of shot. XXL has a unique style and Hip Hop Weekly is a tabloid-style magazine, which means I challenge the conventions of these two magazines. I wanted to keep my magazine traditional in the sense of layout and simplicity, and therefore followed the convention of Source magazine. A third convention I used was the idea of the more developed magazines having the artist covering the masthead. All three magazines I analysed had the masthead covered, which means the audience can already identify the magazine without the need of seeing the whole masthead. I did this to make my magazine seem popular amongst my audience. Another convention I followed was using sans serif fonts throughout my magazine. This makes the magazine seem clean and professional. It also makes the magazine easier to read for the audience. A final convention I followed is the use of colour coding the names in red and information in black on my cover lines. This allows the artist's names to stick out on shelves, increasing the amount of sales and publicity. This is used by Source magazine, unlike Hip Hop Weekly and XXL, which allowed me to challenge the convention. The use of this also emphasized my colour scheme and reinforced my house style. My contents page was inspired by Source and Vibe magazine. The image was inspired by both magazines as a medium shot of Kendrick Lamar in Source and Eminem in Vibe is shown. I followed the conventions of the medium shot to allow the audience to see the costume. However, I challenged the conventions of direct address as my artist is looking to the right. This was to create an enigma towards my artist. The layout of my contents page stories is strongly inspired by Vibe magazine, which I did not analyze. The heading features are used from the conventions of Vibe. However, I challenged conventions and added a regulars heading, which allowed me to include more stories on my contents page and fill in the space. I also challenged the conventions of Vibe when it came to size, layout, and colour. The page numbers are on a different colour and size, colour red, size 18, which allows the audience to easily navigate throughout the magazine and allows the page numbers to stand out. The names are also in a different colour, red, to the text, black. Another convention I followed was adding a small paragraph as to who took the picture, who edited it, and who did the costume. This is also done in Vibe magazine as it gives additional information to the readers. I developed the convention of the contents page by adding a masthead. Vibe magazine has a V with a barcode style layout. I did this to create familiarity with my audience and get them into the habit of seeing my magazine name in order to make it a recognized magazine. My masthead is copied from the front cover of my magazine. I also challenged the convention by adding a contents heading, which is not done in Vibe. I did this to denote the page to the audience. I followed the convention of adding a website link, like Vibe has, for a more technologically advanced audience, which tends to be my target audience. This will encourage them to visit the online page. I challenged the convention of Source magazine as the artist used on the cover is the same artist on the contents page. This allowed me to put the artist in the spotlight, which emphasizes his importance to music. This is done in XXL but not in Hip Hop Weekly and Source. I challenged conventions of the magazine as I included a small caption near the image on my contents page. The caption, page 7, upcoming artist Young Silk speaks out, was used to direct the audience to the article that is related to the picture. This is not available in Source, Vibe, or XXL, but is available on Hip Hop Weekly. However, since Hip Hop Weekly is a tabloid magazine, I did not take into account the captions used. I added the caption for the audience to be able to identify the artist and what page number the artist is on. This was to tell the audience what page they can find the artist on and put the artist in the spotlight. A convention I followed in my double page spread is the structure of paragraphs, which are structured in the order of question then answer in order to denote it as an interview. I followed the layout of Hip Hop Weekly as it was clean and easy to read for a teenage audience, unlike the massive chunk of text in Source. Another convention I followed was the use of pull quotes on my double page spread. I followed this from Source. However, my pull quotes were short and available on both pages, which developed the convention. An example of a pull quote I included would be, "Keep your head up, don't give up." This allows the audience to get a sneak peek of the interview. A convention I followed from Source and XXL is the use of an image dominating a page. This allows the artist to stand out. However, I developed this by adding a lead on the page too, to fill in the space, but to mainly give the audience the choice of whether they want to read the article or not after reading my lead. This gives ease of access to the reader. I also added a small masthead on the bottom left of my double page spread, which challenges the conventions of all three magazines. This was to get the audience used to seeing my masthead and therefore create brand familiarity. I developed the convention of pictures further by adding another smaller image of the same artist in a different environment on the second page with my interview to connote to the audience that the article is based around him. The DJ decks all show what he does and that the interview is on his music. This followed Hip Hop Weekly, however it is also developed as I only used one big image. A final convention I challenged was the use of a Caucasian male in my double page spread. This is very uncommon in hip hop as it is dominated by the Afro-Caribbean race, with the exception of Eminem. The use of a Caucasian male also makes the magazine different. In the images, the male on the double page spread seems to be connoted as a hip-hop artist due to the fact that he's wearing a hat, Nike shoes and jeans. However, the jumper may seem more indie rather than hip-hop.